is a threat. But let's leave aside the government. In 2022, the Director General of MI5 in November classified China as a threat in his remarks. How is it possible that the government failed to provide the evidence that the CPS needed to prosecute?
The substantive evidence was provided in 2023 by the previous government. That is when the witness statement was submitted. I am going to disclose it. They will all be able to read it. The substantive evidence was written and disclosed and submitted in 2023 under the last government. I noticed she didn't indicate whether ministers were involved in that at the time. Mr. Speaker, she questions what's in the review, the refreshed review in 2021 and 2023. Let me be clear. The then Foreign Secretary, sitting, I think, over here, the Honourable Member for Braintree, 1 month after the arrest, so absolutely the relevant time, gave a speech at Mansion House. It was called Our Position on China, setting out the government's policy. He said in that speech, summing up China as a threat in one word would be, his words, impossible, impractical and, most importantly, unwise. Foreign Secretary, Mr. Speaker, it wasn't just him. Mr. Speaker, the Leader of the Opposition was Business Secretary at the time. In September 23, the Leader of the Opposition said, her words, September 23, the relevant year, her words, we should certainly not be describing China as a foe. It's worth looking up the word foe in the dictionary, Mr. Speaker. She went, Mr. Speaker, it doesn't end there, Mr. Speaker. In September 2024, the Leader of the Opposition said this, I quote, I have shied away from calling China a threat. She is playing politics with national security.
The Prime Minister can read the beginning of a quote. Let me finish that quote. At the end of that quote, that he just read out, I did describe China as a threat. But this whataboutery that he is doing neglects the fact that those spies were charged under a Conservative government. They were let off under Labour. He has not answered any questions. On Monday, Mr. Speaker, on Monday, the Security Minister repeatedly told the House that ministers did not take decisions, that it was the Deputy National Security Advisor who had full freedom. Is the government seriously saying that only one man, the Deputy National Security Advisor, had anything to do with this failure? Is he seriously saying that the Deputy did not discuss with the National Security Advisor, did not discuss with the Home Secretary or with anyone in Downing Street? Is the Prime Minister seriously saying that?
Yes. Mr. Speaker, let me explain why. Firstly, the case was charged under the last government according to the evidence submitted under the last government, which set out their policy decision. What was an issue in the trial is not the position of the current government, the position of the last government. And they carefully avoided describing China as an enemy because that was their policy at the time. Mr. Speaker, so far as the position under this government is concerned, no minister or special advisor was involved, and I will double-check this because I've had it. I will double-check this. So, Mr. Speaker, this is important. After the charging decision, the prosecution were very careful about who would then see the witness evidence. I will double-check, Mr. Speaker, exactly what instruction was taken. But my answer, I can be absolutely clear: no minister was involved. No special advisor was involved in this, and I'm assured as I can be that the prosecution was saying that it would be the witnesses only that were involved in short updates, the evidence that was submitted under the last government.
That's not good enough. Kemi Badenoch.
Mr. Speaker, the end of the answer was different from the beginning of the answer. What on earth is the point of us having a lawyer rather than a leader as the Prime Minister if he can't even get the law right on a matter of national security? He keeps going to the CPS. The CPS have said that they are satisfied that they were right to charge in August 2024. The Sunday Times reported that Jonathan Powell, the Prime Minister's National Security Advisor, convened a secret meeting to discuss the security consequences of the China spy trial. Did the meeting happen, or is the Sunday Times making it up?
Mr. Speaker, she's clearly not a lawyer or a leader. Mr. Speaker. The problem for her is I do actually understand the law. I know what's got to be proven. I've also looked at the evidence. Which was put in under the last government in relation to this case. There was a meeting in September. That did not involve the National Security Advisor discussing the evidence in any way, nor, Mr. Speaker, one further piece of evidence. The final statement in this case was submitted in August 2025. There was no further submission of evidence, one way or the other, after any discussion in September. This is a red herring, a completely scurrilous allegation made by the Leader of the Opposition.
Mr. Speaker, the Prime Minister has now twice directly contradicted the words of his Security Minister. They cannot both be right. The chair of the Foreign Affairs Committee couldn't get any answers from the Security Minister. The CPS said that they were satisfied that the decision to charge the case in April 2024, not August, in April 2024, was correct on the basis of where the law stood at that time. This is a matter of fact. It is not a matter of what the previous government had thought. It is not a matter of it not meeting a legal test. It did. Something must have changed when the charges were brought and when the case collapsed. The charges were brought under us. The case collapsed under them. Can the Prime Minister tell us what changed and what collapsed the case?
Mr. Speaker, I've said I will publish the witness statements in full. The whole House will then see exactly what was set out in 2023 in the substantive witness statement and exactly what was set out in the two supplementary witness statements, and she will then realise what she's just said is entirely baseless.
Kemi Badenoch.
Mr. Speaker, the CPS has said in the clearest terms that this prosecution was dropped because this government did not provide the statement they expected. Why should we believe a man who at the last Prime Minister's questions said he had full confidence in the best friend of a convicted paedophile? Forgive us if we don't trust a word he says. This all stinks of a cover-up. Given his statement earlier, will the Prime Minister publish today not just the government witness statements, but also the meeting minutes and all of the correspondence that he had with the CPS?
Mr. Speaker, let me be clear. The only process I want to go through is in relation to some of the individuals in the statements to make sure they know it's coming out. I can assure the House there's no substantive delay here. I know it is of concern to a number of people, acute of concern to them. I will have the statements out in full. There is a bit of proper process I need to go through. The honourable member will understand why that's necessary. Then they'll be published in full. She asks about minutes, etc. There is a usual rules and process for government. But I remind her that the substantive issues in this case were discussed at meetings under the previous government. So they're asking me to disclose the discussions that they had in relation to the witness statement in the first place.
Kemi Badenoch.
Mr. Speaker, you deserve better, and this House deserves better than the evasive answers that we have had from the Prime Minister. Even the former Cabinet Secretary, Lord Butler, has accused the government of being economical with the truth on this issue. The Prime Minister can't tell us why Jonathan Powell had a secret meeting which the Security Minister said he had no involvement in the case. He can't tell us why his government did not provide evidence that China was a threat. I suspect those statements won't prove it either. He's blaming his civil servants. He's blaming the media. He's blaming the last government. He cannot explain why he could not see this case through. He should have seen this case through. And let me be clear, Mr. Speaker, about what has happened. A serious case involving national security has collapsed because this government is too weak to stand up to China. And if the Prime Minister cannot protect the members of this House, what does that say about his ability to protect this country?
The case did not proceed because the policy of the past government did not meet the test that was necessary. That is the long and the short of it. Far from evading, I have said I will disclose the full witness statements that set out exactly what was in the witness statements, exactly what the subsequent statement says, and the allegation that somehow they were changed, that the first statement and the second statements are different, is completely and utterly unfounded. Mr. Speaker, it's a pathetic spectacle. Instead of taking responsibility for the fact they failed to update the law so this case could actually be the review, Mr. Speaker, 2015 was the review into legislation. They took 8 years to change the law. Had they done that more quickly, this case would have proceeded. It was their failure, and they're just slinging mud. Meanwhile, we're getting on, Mr. Speaker, with renewing our country, new planning reforms, get rid of building, online hospitals for waiting lists, new opportunities for young people. Labour's building a better future. They can't even come to terms with their past.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Derby is a city on the up, but unfortunately this last year we've been devastated by knife crime. Nasty Tory austerity decimated frontline policing, and we're now paying the price for that. At my regular city centre safety summits, the message is clear: to turn the page, we need action and not words. Can the Prime Minister update my constituents on what action this government is taking to make sure all our residents, our visitors and our workers can enjoy our city centre safely?
Well, Mr. Speaker, I thank him for his question. As he will have heard at our conference, we had Pooja Kanda there, who I've met a number of times. Her son Ronan was fatally stabbed, and I'm proud that we've delivered, Mr. Speaker, Ronan's law to tackle the sale of ninja swords, and we've also banned zombie knives and strengthened controls for online knife sales. I pay tribute to his work setting up the City Safety Summits.
Daisy Cooper, Deputy Leader of the Liberal Democrats.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. May I associate myself and my party with the tributes to David Amos? And on behalf of my party, can I also pay tribute to Ming Campbell, who is being laid to rest today? That is the reason why my right honourable friend, the member for Kingston and Surbiton, cannot be here. And I'd like to thank you, Mr. Speaker, and the Prime Minister and other members of this House for their very kind tributes yesterday. We welcome the new level of transparency from the Prime Minister, and we will scrutinise those witness statements closely, but it is clear there are still many questions to be answered, including questions from Hong Kongers, Mr. Speaker, because Hong Kongers in St Albans and across the UK have settled in our communities after they have fled repression at the hands of the Chinese state. But now they see a British government that wants to make it harder for Hong Kongers to settle here permanently, that refuses to impose targeted sanctions on Chinese officials who put bounties on Hong Kongers' heads, that is refusing to rule out a Chinese super embassy and is failing to tackle Chinese espionage. Mr. Speaker, Hong Kongers are starting to ask whether the Prime Minister is trading away their security and safety in our communities for a cosier relationship with Beijing. What is the Prime Minister's answer to them?
The answer is no, and we have given and will continue to give support to Hong Kongers who need and deserve that support, and she will be assured that the Jimmy Lai case is raised regularly at every opportunity by my ministers and indeed by me.
Daisy Cooper.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I think that Hong Kongers will require a lot more reassurance and action from this government. But it is not just the Chinese government that is a threat to our country. On Monday, the far-right, racist hate preacher Tommy Robinson, who is currently on trial for allegedly refusing to comply with counter-terror police, claimed that his legal costs are being paid by Elon Musk. It is outrageous that a man who has so much control over what people read online every day could be funding someone who stokes far-right extremism on our streets. If this was Putin, the government surely would act. So will the Prime Minister commission the security services to assess the threat that Elon Musk poses to our democracy and recommend measures to this House that we can take to stop it?
Well, I can tell her we do look across the board at threats to our democracy and must continue to do so. I won't comment on the particular case given the state of legal proceedings.
Alex Backen.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. Next year marks the 75th anniversary of the Battle of Imjin River, where the 29th Infantry Brigade's last stand prevented the capture of Seoul during the Korea War. That hill is now called Gloucester Hill, as a proud testament to the incredible bravery of one of those battalions, our glorious Gloucesters. Will the Prime Minister join with me in calling for a commemoration for the glorious Gloucesters and all those who fought to defend democracy, liberty and freedom in South Korea?
Well, I join my honourable friend in marking the heroism and sacrifice of the 29th Infantry Brigade, an enduring example, Mr Speaker, of the bravery of all our armed forces. I know Defence Ministers would be happy to discuss commemorating their courage. Our debt to armed forces undermines our commitment to veterans, including delivering homes for heroes, a new network of veteran support centres backed with £50 million.
Liz Saville-Roberts.
Ahead of his party conference, the Prime Minister told the BBC he wasn't sure whether he'd campaign in Caerphilly for the by-election on the 23rd of October. This is an important by-election in Wales. Well, there's just over a week to go and he hasn't shown his face there yet. So what's the problem, Mr Speaker? Is it his party decision to close 10 libraries in the community? Cuts to disability support? Or perhaps it's the fact that even the council leader resigned from the Labour Party and is calling on people to support Plaid Cymru?
Well, Mr Speaker, she leaves out of account that we provided £21 billion, the largest ever settlement for Wales. And what did she do? What did she do? She voted against it, if you can believe it. I noticed, whilst we're on the question of money, she's accepted figures this week showing independence would cost every Welsh person £7,000. They should be honest about the cost to the people of Wales of their policies.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. For the past year, I've been campaigning for a new SEND school to open at the Osprey Quayside on Portland. As it stands, there are far too few specialist school places for children with SEND in my part of the world, so local families urgently need to see this school open its doors. A new school here would provide around 70 new places for local children. So given the urgent need to get this school finally up and running, will the Prime Minister commit to working with the Department for Education and Dorset Council to ensure that a SEND school opens on Portland without further delay?
I thank my honourable friend, and I know just how important this school is to parents and children in his constituency, and share his determination to fix the broken SEND system. That's why we've boosted investment in SEND to £12 billion, Mr Speaker, to put new facilities and tailored support in place for children who've been long failed. We want decisions taken swiftly, and I'll ask the Schools Minister to update him in relation to the particular school.
Sir Julian Smith.
Speaker, family farms in North Yorkshire and across the UK are increasingly worried about the tax changes coming up next year. We really need the next generation of these family farms to keep farming for our national food security. SEND Tax has produced an excellent detailed academic report proposing a number of compromise amendments and changes that would both deliver to the government and protect the family farm. I realise he cannot comment about the budget, but could I ask him and the Chancellor to look at this report as they prepare for the end of November budget?
Well, I agree with him that food security is national security. I do believe our reforms strike the right balance and enable investment in public services to rural communities that they rely on. I do thank him for drawing my attention to the report. He's right to do so. What really matters is increasing the year-on-year profitability of our farmers, and that's why the former president of the NFU is leading a review for us on farm profitability. We're also delivering, Mr Speaker, a 25-year farming roadmap, boosting export opportunities through the EU and US trade deals, backed by £11.8 billion in the budget for farming.
Ben Goldsborough.
Mr Speaker, as many honourable members know, I am currently being treated for stage 2C skin cancer. I'm responding well, but only because it was caught early and because I've had the very best of NHS care. Not everyone is so fortunate. Zoe Panayi, a 26-year-old from the Isle of Wight, was told her mole was harmless. She had it removed privately, but proved to be malignant. She tragically died in 2020. Her family, Charlie and Eileen, in the gallery today, have shown extraordinary courage, working with my honourable friend, the member for the Isle of Wight West, and me to campaign for Zoe's Law, compulsory testing of all moles to be removed. Will the Prime Minister meet with us and Zoe's family to discuss how we can make this a reality?
Well, on behalf of the House, can I wish my honourable friend the very best for his recovery. I know this is a deeply personal campaign for him, a campaign that's also supported by my honourable friend for the Isle of Wight West. Can I send my deepest sympathies and pay tribute to Zoe's family who are with us today. Their bravery is staggering, and I share their determination to improve cancer survival rates. That's why we're investing billions to see earlier diagnosis, faster treatment of cancer, and developing a national cancer plan. In relation to a meeting, yes, of course, we will get that set up. And if the family are available and it's convenient, and I don't know whether it is, I will ask the Health Minister to meet them later on today, or at the earliest opportunity if that's not convenient, so that they can have that discussion.
Bedford.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Business confidence has fallen for 5 consecutive quarters, and Rix has said there is significant concerns in the housing market. Now, the Prime Minister could inject some confidence back into the economy. He could help working families get onto the housing ladder, and he could even simplify the tax affairs for his cabinet if he adopted the policy advocated by the Leader of the Opposition in scrapping stamp duty on residential properties. Now, will the Prime Minister at least commit that he won't be raising property taxes in his nightmare before Christmas budget?
Well, Mr. Speaker, we're certainly not going to be following the Leader of the Opposition. She unveiled what she called her golden economic rule, I think it was. That involves, on the one hand, £47 billion of spending cuts. That's a fifth of the NHS budget, with not a shred of detail about where the money would come from. The Institute for Government said it was on shaky foundations. More unfunded tax cut, more austerity for public services. They haven't listened and they haven't learned.
Sam Rushworth.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Between 2021 and 2023, 41 mental health patients in the care of Tees-Esk and Wear Valley NHS Trust lost their lives, leading to a damning report by NHS England and calls from my constituents for a public inquiry. And it's not just historic. My surgeries are still filled with harrowing stories of failure. Will the Prime Minister join my calls, therefore, for a public inquiry to get to the bottom of what went wrong and to rebuild confidence with new, more appropriately sized local NHS mental health trusts which are fit to serve our constituents?
Well, my honourable friend has been a strong advocate for his constituents on this issue. The Health Secretary has met the families affected by these failures twice, I think, this year to hear their stories. And I want to be clear that what happened to their loved ones is unacceptable. The Health Secretary is currently considering the best way forward, so the families will get the answers that they deserve. It's right that they receive any update first, but I can assure him that we'll provide that update just as soon as we're able to do so.
Becca Smith.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Later on this afternoon, I'm going to be launching a small business survey so that the 3,000 SMEs in my constituency who employ thousands of my constituents can have their say about what it's like to run a business under a Labour government and what their concerns are ahead of the budget. However, Mr. Speaker, I want to give the right honourable gentleman the opportunity for me to share a word of hope from him ahead of the budget. So will he tell my constituents that he has heard the pleas of SMEs and their frightenedness about the budget, and that he will scrap business rates for hospitality and leisure, that he will scrap the family business and family farm tax, and that his government will commit to no further tax rises for business?
Mr. Speaker, just a few months ago we published our small business strategy. That was based on what small businesses take to it. I'll make a copy available to her so she can give one to every member of her constituency before they fill in the survey.
Dixon.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This government is renewing Britain's, and for the benefit of the Leader of the Opposition, that's BRITA. This government is renewing Britain's infrastructure after 14 years of neglect, and nowhere is this more clearly needed than in the A226 Galley Hill Road in Swampscombe in my constituency, which collapsed more than 2 years ago with no fix in sight. Would the Prime Minister agree with me that the announcement of the Transport Structures Fund in the spending review shows that under this government we're ending the Conservative decline and getting on with fixing broken roads like Galley Hill?
Well, he's right. The party opposite let roads crumble after years of uninvestment. We're building infrastructure that working people rely on. Mr. Speaker, that's £1 billion to repair bridges, tunnels and flyovers across the country and £92 billion in major road and rail upgrades. Mr. Speaker, we're rebuilding Britain. They can't even spell it.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Much like the honourable member for Bishop Auckland, my constituents are served by Tube, the Mental Health Trust. They face travelling to York or Middlesbrough for local inpatient beds, with some people being sent as far afield as Glasgow or Southampton. This is completely unacceptable and we need a provision of local mental health inpatient beds. I welcome the openness to an inquiry into Tube, but my concerns would still be that whilst that's going on, we need real action now so that the continued failings don't see the loss of any other lives. So what steps will the Prime Minister and the Secretary of State take now to reassure and rebuild trust in Tube?
Well, I thank him for his question, and he will have heard my response, my honourable friend, a moment ago. And can I say again that what happened to his constituents is unacceptable, and we'll give the answer as soon as we can. In the meantime, he asks what is happening, and we are getting on with recruiting 6,700 additional NHS mental health staff. We're building 85 new dedicated mental health emergency departments, and we've boosted NHS spending on mental health by almost £700 million.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Can I thank the Prime Minister for his strong words at our party conference, calling for unity at a time when many feel our country is divided and rightly calling out racism. As a second-generation immigrant born in this country, people like me and so many of our constituents have every right to be here. No one should face hatred because of the colour of their skin. Does the Prime Minister agree that some of those on the benches opposite who seek to stoke division and keep close company with those who accept Russian bribes cannot and should not be trusted to govern this country?
Mr. Speaker, she captures the choice between us as a country. Either we can give in to division or come together as a country and renew our country. This is Hate Crime Awareness Week. And in the past fortnight, we've seen a horrific terror atrocity in Manchester and a despicable arson attack on the mosque in Peacehaven. I want to be clear as Prime Minister. I am proud to lead and to serve this beautiful, tolerant and diverse country. An attack on one of us is an attack on all of us.
Susan Murray.
Thank you. Mr. Speaker, Calithia Studios in Mid Dumbartonshire is a prime example of a business doing everything the government asks. The owner of this beauty salon and her 3 employees each earn less than £30,000 a year. Yet the business will pay the government over £36,000 for the year in VAT, employers' national insurance and pension contributions. Does the Prime Minister think it's fair the hard-working owner who is providing jobs and training on the high street contributes more to the exchequer than she earns in a year? And does he believe this encourages entrepreneurship, which is important for economic growth and local jobs?
Speaker, as you will know, we protected business rates bills from inflation, extended relief at 40% with new permanent lower rates set on and introduced for retail, hospitality and leisure. And as part of our small business plan, we're providing £3 billion so that lenders can offer more loans to small businesses. We're, of course, introducing the most significant package on late payments, a real issue for small businesses, and reforms that are bigger than anything in the last 25 years.
Whitby.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Can the Prime Minister update the House on the government's elections bill? And does he agree that in light of recent court cases and the conviction of Reform's former leader in Wales, that no party whose leaders take Russian bribes can be trusted to defend our democracy?
Mr. Speaker, Labour is introducing an elections bill to protect our democracy from foreign interference. But look at Reform. The member for Clacton and his deputy worked alongside someone who took money to spread Putin's propaganda. Whatever their denials, they have serious questions to answer about what they knew. But that is the choice. Kremlin cronies sowing division or Labour patriots working for national renewal.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The lines that we've heard from the government in recent days have been a conflation of fabricated stories, trying to set up straw men and knock down things that have not been said. Yes. The real question in this whole debate is whether or not the DPP charged legally and properly. If they did, then the OSA is valid, and all this talk about the National Security Act that I introduced is completely irrelevant. If they did not, why is he not charging his successor with abuse of power? Well, we know the reality, Mr. Speaker, because although he has answered the question about evidence, the real question is what political direction did this government give to their officials before they went to give evidence?
Absolutely none. Absolutely none. And I will also tell him this. I was the Chief Prosecutor for 5 years. And I can say, in that 5 years, which included 3 years under the coalition government, when we were taking difficult decisions on MPs' expenses, not once was I subjected to political pressure of any sort from anyone. That is the tradition in this country. It's a proud tradition. It's one I uphold as Prime Minister, just as I upheld it when I was Director of Public Prosecution.
Point of order, Mr. Speaker. Point of order, James Clough.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. On a point of order, in the statement that the Security Minister made earlier this week, and then again in answer to a question, I have been misquoted, and the misquote, I think, is significant. It has been said that I, in a speech at Mansion House, said that describing China as a threat was impossible, impractical, and most importantly, unwise. The quote was that describing China as one word, or our policy in one word, is impossible, impractical, and most importantly, unwise. And, Mr. Speaker, in that speech, I went on to say that our policy first, we will strengthen our national security protections wherever Beijing's actions pose a threat to our people or prosperity. And I finished by saying, and when there are tensions with other objectives, we will always put our national security first. How can I get redress for this misquote, Mr. Speaker?
Do you want to come back? No. What I want to say is, look, you put it on the record. It is there now for all to see. I will now leave it at that stage. That completes Prime Minister.
Out the chamber swiftly. We have an urgent question shortly. Ed Morello.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. To ask the Minister whether he will make a statement on the adequacy of Jehoots as a pharmacy provider.
Minister Stephenson.
Thank you very much, Madam Deputy Speaker, and I congratulate the honourable member for West Dorset for securing this important urgent question. Pharmacies play a vital role in our healthcare system. They are at the heart of our high streets and the cornerstone of communities up and down the country. That's why this government has given pharmacies a funding boost of almost £500 million this year, more than any other area of the NHS, and the biggest uplift in years. Indeed, we've provided a 19% uplift over the 2-year period. The vast majority of pharmacies provide excellent care to their patients, but unfortunately there are some that fall short of the standards that we expect. And sadly, the services provided by JUTs are falling well below the mark. Honourable members will know that several integrated care boards have been deploying contract management actions against JUTs, initially in the form of breach notices. Integrated care boards enforce the NHS terms of service on